YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and Orlando Brown is the trade candidate we're talking about today. Got a new one almost every single day here, but something different than quarterbacks at least. Orlando Brown, the Ravens tackle, said he wants to play left tackle. Obviously, the Ravens have Ronnie Stanley, so some serious discussions about him being traded. We're going to break it down, all the numbers, the value in my opinion, or the predicted value, two different things there. The top tier teams that will be interested, maybe some sleeper teams. We're breaking, I think I got 12 teams here, and I got several trade scenarios, some very interesting ones, but half the league might be interested in Orlando Brown because everyone's always looking for tackles, and he comes at a cheap cost for now. Follow our Twitter, instantly talking about this news when it breaks, pretty much anything related to football. Link in the description comments for anything that you need there. Please subscribe. Full NFL coverage, more content than anybody. Offseason coverage is ridiculous. Free agency, predictions, grades on every signing, the draft, mock drafts. We got you. So hopefully you join us for all that content and subscribe. There's our Twitter. Yeah, we were talking a lot of things I'm going to talk about right now. You've already heard on the Twitter. We're talking about everything, just literally everything. We got some polls going right now. You guys voted for MVP and things like that at the end of the regular season. How about at the end of the entire season? So we got everything here. So check out the Twitter. Here's the contract really quick, just pretty basic. 2021's his last year, so one more year in his contract. You see the cap hit is nothing. Ravens are going to save $920K by cutting him, or by trading him, excuse me. So they don't save much at all. That's really not going to help him that much. New team receives the same amount in a cap hit. When do you see, you don't see a starting tackle available really ever, if you think about it, via trade, or nobody cuts these guys. It's kind of like quarterback. And then when do you have one available that has that small of a hit? And you might want an extension. You're going to have to give him extension. I think you got about a year to figure that out, really, because he came out and said he wants to play left tackle. He didn't come out and say, I need this amount of money. So this is a good problem to have for the teams looking to trade for him. As you can see here, it says my value, predicted value. My value, I'm a little hesitant about the first round pick. There's some guys out there that are probably going to go for a first round pick or close, and you guys already hear me rant on that I will not like that at all. This one, if he gets traded for a first, it depends on the exact details and situation. I won't really hate it. I just see him as kind of a risky one to trade for a first. He's solid, he's young. I think he's pretty scheme dependent. The Ravens run a lot of man power schemes, gap schemes. So it doesn't really fit every single team, and other teams know that. So it doesn't give them leverage. It gives them some leverage. Some people bringing up Laramie Tunsil, that haul. Laramie Tunsil's was better. I think he's a good amount better too. Orlando Brown, he's really good. Orlando Brown. Tunsil is more proven, and fit any scheme. Orlando Brown, again, he needs, I think, specific schemes. You think about what the Ravens do, just north and south blocking until Lamar Jackson or whoever it is passes you up. You don't have to block for very long. So it might be a different challenge somewhere else. You have to be strong is absolute you-know-what to be able to play in a power scheme, though. That's why they call it a power, a man scheme, But from what it sounds like, he's probably going to go. It says a haul. I wouldn't imagine a first round plus, other things, maybe, several other things. But it could be a mid to late first round pick, plus late or maybe mid, or if there isn't a first round pick, it's got to be multiple day two, a second, a third, and maybe a fifth or something like that. I've kind of been playing around with some swap deals. We're actually going to go over those scenarios here in a second. But let's take a look at the teams here. And again, at the bottom, it says Orlando Brown will only play left tackle, not right. So teams, everyone, a fan base like, well, we'll take him. We can put him at right tackle. No, this is the reason why he's being traded. I think the strong contenders, Washington football team, that's probably the best fit, in terms of, I think Scott Turner has a good mixture of different blocking schemes. When him and Norv his dad were in Minnesota, they ran a lot of those types of schemes there. So a good mixture, especially with Tonio Gibson. He kind of, that running style kind of fits any scheme. I think they could use a left tackle. I think Morgan Moses could be back as the right tackle. So I think that'll be a really good fit. It's a need. Do they want to offer the 19th pick? Is that too much? We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I think they're the best fit, but there's a reason that it might not be the most likely landing spot, even though it's a strong contender. So we're going to circle back. I got a lot to talk about. Anybody that's skimming through this video, they're blowing it. The Colts need a left tackle. Costanzo retired. It's pretty much all they need on the offensive line. The rest of the line is great. You just need a guy that can fit. Where they're sitting, 21st pick. Do you get it? Will that guy be better than Orlando Brown? Probably not. Does he fit? Because sometimes they run some of that outside, and they want their tackle to get out there downfield and block. Can Orlando Brown do that? So I guess that's the question. I think he can in their scheme. They got a really good coaching staff. They're really good at developing offensive linemen. They would prefer to get a guy that's going to come in and help them run the ball, pound the football, because that's what they want to do first. And they could work with guys, develop guys, pass blockers. He's a pretty good pass protector, but I think that's the type of guy they would like. Again, it's probably better than somebody they would get with the 21st pick. Much like Washington, there is kind of a problem. I want to circle back to the problem, but these are probably the teams everyone's going to be talking about. Again, I think the best fit's probably Washington, probably the best fit. Another strong contender, the Chargers. They need a left tackle, and they need one more guard opposite of Trey Turner. And I think left tackle most important there. One of the most important things in football, and protecting Justin Herbert is what they have to do. They have that guy to protect now, long term. Get that guy to help protect him. Brian Bulaga on one side, he also has injury concern, but left tackle, get a guy like Orlando Brown. Were they sitting with picks? 13 might be too rich. We'll come back to that. Maybe a swap deal. We're going to come back to that in some scenarios. They will definitely call, and they will definitely offer second, third, maybe. Do they win the bidding war, though? Remember, there's always a bidding war. Who's got the best offer? Will they win the bidding war with that? Could they offer a next year first? I would, pump the brakes on that, because Chargers got a pretty big range. I think next year it's pretty unpredictable. Will there be a learning curve still with Herbert with the new coaching staff? They could be a very, very good team, too, I can see. So I wouldn't trade the first next year. Jacksonville Jaguars, loaded draft picks. They're looking for a left tackle. Cam Robinson, they could bring back. Orlando Brown's, probably, but he is better. Depending on what the new scheme, new system wants. Bevel familiar with, mixture of schemes. I think Orlando Brown could fit. I could also see them wanting more of athletic, kind of going that younger route, building the youth on that team. They could want to go a little more athletic, but I think better, they have the 25th pick. I think better than what they would get there. It's hard to predict the draft. That's a tough part. You don't really know who's going to be there. And you don't want to wait to trade for Orlando Brown during the draft, because somebody else might sneak in before then and get him. But these are the strong contenders. I would be floored if these teams didn't already make a call, really. Sleeper teams, and the reason they're not strong contenders, but I view them as contenders, is because you can see on the screen the question marks. The Patriots could be one. I think it could be a plug-and-play left tackle guy. Where do they put, Marcus Cannon's coming back. He could be a pretty good right tackle. Wenwu, he played very well at guard first, and they moved him to right tackle. He looked pretty good. So where do they want to put him? Isaiah Wynn, they're probably okay with him, being a backup, or maybe moving him for a day 3 pick, mid-round pick perhaps. So there are some questions. I think things need to happen. They need to be okay moving this guy here, this guy there, Orlando Brown plugging in at the left tackle, and they need to be willing to trade. Will they trade the 15th overall? I don't think they would. So it's a team that I could see fit. They would like him, but things need to happen. The Dolphins could be a legit team here. They have 2 firsts. Would they trade that second first? Possibly. Things need to happen again. Would they be willing to move Austin Jackson to right tackle and then Robert Hunt to guard? They should be willing to do that, but will they want to do that? I think Jackson can be better at right tackle with Orlando Brown at left tackle. Robert Hunt, I think, could be a Pro Bowl guard. Pretty good right tackle at the same time. So some question marks there, which makes them a sleeper, but obviously a fit. The Vikings, the only thing is he a fit? Because, again, he's going to fit more of that power scheme. The Vikings are they're the ultimate outside zone run scheme. They're going to get their offense lineman outside and then downfield while Dalvin Cook's bursting out there. So I don't know if they'll view – and their offense line's pretty good run blocking. They're atrocious pass blocking. But they got those guys that fit that scheme, and that's why it's worked with running the ball with Dalvin Cook. I don't know if Orlando Brown has the athleticism to fit. And we know the Vikings need a left tackle, and they could probably move on from Riley Reif. But do they view him as a fit? They may pick up the phone and take a chance, but you don't take a chance by offering full value. They'll make that offer lower than other teams, so they probably won't end up with him. The Niners, Trent Williams is a free agent. They tried to, thought about trying to reach an extension in the past already with him, and that didn't happen. He was very good for them. I think option A is to get him back. Option B could be, let's let him walk and let's get Orlando Brown in here. That's a possibility. So things with these sleepers, it makes sense, but things need to happen. The deep sleepers, the Giants, are they willing to move Andrew Thomas to right tackle? And I think they should. I think he'd be better at right tackle. Orlando Brown left tackle. They can make that work. They'd be a lot better. Will they want to do that though? That's the question. So a big question mark there. And then the Bears. Do they move on from Charles Leno, who was their left tackle last year? A couple years ago, he didn't make the Pro Bowl. The year that the Bears went to the playoffs, but he played almost at that level. Then it kind of went down, and then it kind of went back up at the end of this last year finally. So do they still like Charles Leno? Do they want to cut him, save money, move for Orlando Brown so you get better and younger there, and then look for their right tackle? So again, it depends. It's a big question mark. Do they want to do this? Do they want to use their first-round pick for something else? Got an interesting scenario coming for the Bears as well. The Panthers, they traded for Russell Okung last offseason. He's a veteran getting up there in age and has injury concern. And they want to re-sign Taylor Moton. Do they want to move on from Okung? I think most likely they keep their duo together, but it's possible. And the Rams are kind of riding on Whitworth retiring. Does he retire? 40 years old. It almost sounds like, you'd think, maybe he would, but they just got Stafford. He wants to win that Super Bowl. This might be one more rodeo here, one more shot. So these teams are kind of unlikely, but I kind of can see it. Any other team, either in the division, Steelers and Bengals. I really love the Steelers fit. What they're trying to do over there. They're not going to trade him to a division rival. Other teams that need an offensive lineman, the reason he's not on here is because they either don't have the trade capital. I don't see them trading, or they don't. They would put him at right tackle, and he doesn't want to play right tackle. Circling back here, so now you see the contender, you see everything. And I thought the biggest fit was the Washington football team, and then maybe the Colts. I mean, these are all pretty even in terms of fit, but I really thought Washington football team is probably the biggest fit. In the Colts, we know they're a left tackle away from getting that thing back, going. And a lot of people are bringing up the Colts. So those are probably would be the strongest contenders, but there's a big reason why they might not be. You look at their first-round picks, they're probably picking too late in the second where and they could package picks. They can package second, third, whatever, but there's probably teams that can beat them out there. They could offer a future first along with this year day 2 picks. That could get it done. That might be their best shot. We got some swap scenarios coming up, but why? I don't see these teams offering their first-round pick without kind of getting one back this year. And again, we'll talk about swap deals because it's weird. They both need a left tackle. They both need a quarterback of the future, and they both need receivers pretty bad, or maybe a receiver one to pair with their current, because I think you need multiple receiver ones. They got McLaurin, they got Pittman, so they definitely need more receiver help. So they have the same biggest needs, and sitting there at 19 for Washington and 21 for the Colts, they might want to add that player. They don't want to, they don't know who's going to be on the board. They don't want to jump the gun and be like, oh man, this tackle that we would have preferred, or this quarterback somehow fell, Mac Jones, or this receiver, like how was Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith? Some people worried about his thin frame. How was he there? We could have had this guy and got that much better. So those teams might not want to jump the gun. That's number one. Number two is they're both in the market for trading for a quarterback, and they may need that pick. So do they want to jump the gun and trade that pick for Orlando Brown when they could have had this quarterback? So they both have the same question marks on why they might not make the deal. And then with the deal that they will be interested in doing, somebody else can probably outbid them. So hopefully people listen to the video and understand that, because I think that might be spot on there. Now we're going to have multiple scenarios. So with that being said, these teams really can't offer their first round. There's a way around that. We'll get to it. So that leaves the other strong contenders. The Chargers got the 13th overall pick. So that leaves me with the most likely scenario, basic scenario, I guess, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just straight up 25th pick from the Rams in the Jalen Ramsey deal for Orlando Brown. Plug and play guy at left tackle. The rest of the offensive line is set. You let Cam Robinson walk. You save money there. And you still have a load of picks. You got the first pick in the second round. You got another second round pick coming up after that. I mean, obviously you have the first pick as well. So you're looking pretty damn good. And this could be the highest first round pick without a swap offer offered. So that's why this is kind of the most likely basic, just pick player. And they're talking about Hall. People are talking about Hall. So maybe it takes more than this. Maybe they got to throw in a mid-round pick. Who knows? Again, I'd be a little cautious with that because does he fit? Are you certain he fits your scheme, not a Lamar Jackson power scheme? So maybe that's probably the most likely basic deal. Let's talk about those swap deals now. So it's not both, obviously. It's either or. And again, like I just discussed a little bit ago, Washington, Indianapolis, they're in the same boat pretty much. Where they pick, the scenario on why maybe they won't do a non-swap deal or they'll only offer day twos or future picks and what they actually need. So those teams can get Orlando Brown, and we can have a swap. So keep in mind, it says right next to their logos where they pick. So the Ravens can move up to 19 or 21. They swap picks, and that team would also throw in a second-round pick and then maybe a day 3 pick, 6th-round pick. So, because they're looking for a first round. They're moving up. They're not moving up a whole bunch, so they're not really gaining a first round there. They're giving theirs back. So they're going to gain a second and maybe a 5th or a 6th there. So that'll be ideal because, like I said, Washington and Indianapolis, I think they would really need to hang on to their first-round pick for the reasons I explained a little bit ago, unless they're just set. They want Orlando Brown. They don't need anything else there. So that is – I actually like this. A lot needs to happen. This is pretty bold, but I think it's realistic here with the swaps, either or there. And, again, I love the fit in Washington. Not that I don't in Indianapolis. I think the best fit for Orlando Brown is probably Washington. Fit plus need, but is it likely to happen? I think it need to be a deal like this. Or they can offer a future first. Teams might be hesitant with that because they don't know what pick that would be. They can package together multiple day 2 picks, day 3 picks to make this deal happen. But that's something to look out for. But let's take a look at the Chargers was the other strong candidate. Let's talk about a swap deal with them because they're not just going to give up the 13th pick. And that they can offer a package day 2 picks, but somebody like the Jacksonville Jaguars will outbid them maybe using that 25th pick. So a big-time swap. The Ravens climb all the way up to 13th overall. And it's pretty valuable. The Chargers might be hesitant to do this as well because 13 and 27, it's a big, big difference. Big difference. Especially in this year's draft. More of the sure things at the top, and with the lack of reps for opt-outs and combine. So you kind of want that sure thing guy. And the Ravens can get up there and get a replacement for Orlando Brown or a big-time receiver, pretty appealing, or a big-time pass rusher. So swap 27, 13, and then the Chargers throw in maybe a 5th, maybe a 4th. But again, I know it's a swap, but that 13th pick is pretty damn valuable, like we said here. So that's a possibility. I don't know if I've ever thought of the swap deal. I've done so many trade scenarios. I can't remember. I probably have at some point because I've done so many. I can't really remember. But I've never really came up with a swap deal makes sense. It really makes sense, and not just the Chargers, but these. It makes a lot of sense, actually. So I think it could happen. And then one more, shout out to Nicholas here on Twitter, one of our followers. He actually brought this to my attention. It's actually a really good idea. People send me trade scenarios all the time. Appreciate them. And I don't say this, but I'm usually thinking, what's this guy thinking? But this was actually a pretty good one, actually. The Bears could be interested. They would be willing to move on from Charles Leno, cut him, and then upgrade with Orlando Brown. Will they be willing to do that? But Allen Robinson might be available as well. So how about an Allen Robinson for Orlando Brown? The Ravens could be interested in Allen Robinson, so that makes a lot of sense. They need that receiver. The reason why I did this swap deal, so it's 20 for 27, swap first-round pick, so the Ravens get a little more value there. And you may think, does Orlando Brown really have more value than Allen Robinson? Thinking of their play, Orlando Brown plays a much more important position. Allen Robinson, more of a playmaker. You probably think he has more value, and you might be right, but apply the circumstances here. Apply the scenario. Allen Robinson would need to be tagged and traded, which is likely, I think, if it's this or not. That's pretty pricey. We'll find out the price on that tag for the receivers, 15, 16, 17 million, 14 to 17 range, depending on the cap number this year. It's pretty pricey still. So, and then will they have to extend him? And he's looking for that 18 to 20, 17 to 20 million per year range. Pretty pricey for the Ravens, whether he's playing on the franchise tag or not. Orlando Brown is playing for dirt cheap this year. You have time to work out the extension. He isn't complaining about his contract. He's complaining he just wants to play left tackle. So I given when tackles are never available like this, especially when they're cheap contract-wise, it's extremely rare. And the talks going on is the Ravens are going to get a haul or they're going to get a first round plus something. Allen Robinson, his value normally would probably be late first or early second because how good he is. But then you give it, you factor in, the price he's playing under. That he needs a big contract, the number that he wants, that price that he wants. I'd be surprised if his trade value after being tagged is even a second rounder is pretty pricey because the compensatory pick would be, would be a third round pick next year. So I think value on the field, people may debate differently, and that's okay. But value given the circumstances. Orlando Brown has more value. I mean, he just does. So swapping the 27 for 20, I thought made sense. Maybe it's not a swap. Maybe the Bears just throw in something. Not a first round pick, obviously, or a second. Close to there. So that was good thinking. Yeah, everyone's always talking with us on Twitter about scenarios and things like that, asking questions, and that's why you should follow our Twitter there at Goathouse NFL. It's more important to follow that, at times like these than. Well, the channel gets in-depth content, but, you hear everything first on the Twitter, so we're always talking about things when it breaks. But, those are some interesting scenarios. I really enjoyed this one just because I think a lot of teams will be interested because, again, it's very rare for a tackle like this to come up. He's a little bit of a risk because is he scheme-dependent? And I think there's several different scenarios that could take place here, and I think that's pretty damn cool. So I enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. We're constantly talking about the NFL. We're starting our later today, which is the 11th. We're starting our top 100 of 2020-2021 season. We're counting down all the way to 1, obviously, separate videos. So excited about that. We got full offseason content on the way. A lot on the channel already, covering free agency and the draft. So join us for that. Check that out. Smash the like button, subscribe, follow our Twitter, turn notifications on so you don't miss a damn thing. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.